Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it automatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is issues 5 and 6 of Spidey. Like many of the books with single issue storylines, we are lumping these two together to give you a longer video. Spidey is the retconned origins of Spider-Man, adding in more stuff to his time as a child, where he's just learning what it means to be a hero. Well, it was a good run for Peter Parker, but how did it get to the end? It all started one day after school when Peter was watching Gwen walk home with Flash Thompson. Harry tells Peter not to worry. There are plenty of fish in the sea, but Peter feels that he may not even be in the sea. So the two of them begin to head home. Harry's father, Norman Osborn, comes by to check on Peter to see if he'd like to accept his offer of helping tutor Harry. Seeing that Peter helped Gwen with math, Norman wanted to pay Peter to help Harry with his studies. After a little convincing, Peter agrees, and Norman hands him a check for a rather large sum of money. Before Peter can tell him it's too much, Norman just tells him it's nonsense. Peter knows his self-worth. Later, as Peter watches over New York, his Spidey sense goes off as a crime goes off nearby. And when he gets there, the robbers don't seem to be going anywhere. Peter jumps down and he knocks the robbers out, and he tells them normally after you rob a bank, you run away, guys. The robbers tell him that they actually were paid to wait, and then Peter asks for who? And he hears a voice tell him, me, the Green Goblin! The Goblin flies into Peter, slamming him against a building. Peter tells him, no time, no see, and then he begins to jump away, but as he's trying to jump away, the Green Goblin grabs him by the ankle and electrocutes him. Peter manages to swing away, but the Goblin throws his bombs at Peter, who has to duck behind a billboard. After setting up his camera and swinging back into action, Peter starts to beat on the Goblin, but before long, the Goblin begins to escape. As Peter chases after him, Green Goblin starts to throw his bomb at all of the nearby civilians, so Peter is distracted having to save them. And then, the Goblin stops to laugh. He knocks Peter away, and Peter realizes that he is in fact out of webbing, and he's now got no other options. He crashes through a manhole cover, and the Goblin tells him, you can't escape! Who needs to escape? Peter tells him. As the Goblin gets close to the sewer, Peter jumps back out covered in water, shocking the Goblin and knocking him off of his hoverboard. The Goblin then begins to pick himself back up, and he begins to hold his left arm and tells Peter, there is something else you are, a worthy opponent. The Green Goblin jumps back on his hoverboard and he begins to fly off, telling Peter Parker, soon, Spider, soon! But Peter suffered his own injuries, such as hurting his leg, and he yells, yeah, you better run! Then, a random passerby turns to him and tells him, get a job, and he continues to walk off. The next day at school, Peter and Harry begin to leave class, and Norman meets up with them to pick up Harry. But there's something the two notice about each other. Peter is limping on his leg, and Norman has a broken arm. They begin to stare at each other and wonder if, maybe, are they Spider-Man and the Green Goblin? No, it can't be that easy. The Green Goblin would never believe that Spider-Man is a boy. And Peter can't believe a genius like Norman Osborn would be a madman like the Green Goblin. For now, it doesn't matter. It's time for Peter to get back to work as Spider-Man. Now we go to issue 6. For Peter, life has not always been awesome, but he is getting help, at least in school. Ever since his teacher, Mr. Maxwell's paired him up with Gwen Stacy, the two have been helping each other in their work, where Peter helps with math and Gwen's been helping him with his history. After their history test, Gwen tells Peter not to worry, he did fine. He does have the greatest history tutor ever, but as the two of them leave school to get some ice cream, Gwen says that it looks like they're getting closer to winter break. And Peter responds by stating that in the winter formal. He begins to trail off as his spider sense starts going off though. He starts to walk off away from Gwen Stacy, and she asks what he was gonna say about but Peter just says nothing, and he tells her he'll catch her tomorrow. He ducks into an alley to change into Spider-Man, and he thinks to himself, he really needs to work on asking Gwen out. As he swings towards the building where his sense was going off, he starts saying to himself out loud, do you want to go to the winter formal? And as he enters into a hole into the building, he's still repeating the same question, and that's when a voice tells him, I'll pass. The voice belongs to the Vulture, and he's stealing from Tony Stark. Peter asks the Vulture how he's been, and the Vulture tells him, get out of my way! He knocks Peter away with the briefcase that he's taken, and then he slashes at Peter's back. With Peter down, the Vulture makes his escape back out of the hole that he's made, but before Peter can chase after him, he hears a voice telling him, halt! Peter turns around and he sees Iron Man, and he asks, was halt too formal? Maybe don't move? Yeah, that's way better. He then scans Peter, but when he looks at his face, his scanner isn't picking up anything. Iron Man tells Peter he'll make him a deal. Before I hand you over to S.H.I.E.L.D., you can take that mask off and we can talk like grown-ups. But Peter isn't a grown-up, and he shoots out the window telling him that the Vulture is getting away. Iron Man follows Spider-Man and flies after him, shooting missiles, and Peter tells him, look, I'm not the thief! I wouldn't break into Stark Industries! Besides, your boss, Tony Stark, dude's a genius, and I'm a huge fan! Peter continues on, the guy we're actually after is the Vulture, and if you'd like, you can ask him since he's right over there, Iron Man. Iron Man tells him, alright, maybe you were right, so how about we team up instead? Team Team up? With you? Awesome! As Peter and Iron Man attempt to capture the Vulture flies through nearby gondola lines and he snaps them. Iron Man flies underneath to try and catch the gondola and he tells Peter to keep on moving. Peter swings over, kicking the Vulture and taking back the briefcase, but as the Vulture goes in for another attack, his wings get blasted by Iron Man, who tells him that they're done here. And you're welcome for not making any barbecued wing jokes. As Peter and Iron Man sit on a roof, Iron Man asks if he has any idea what he was doing. And Peter says, what? No? Yes? What? Am I on an adventure now? No. But not even close. I did. Stop talking. Iron Man begins to head out, but Peter stops him asking if he hangs out with Tony Stark. And Iron Man tells him, all the time. Then Peter says that he's pretty good at dating and stuff, right? Do you have any tips for me? As he blasts off, he says, fortune favors the bold. Ask her out before she has plans. And then Iron Man leaves. The next day after class, Peter walks with Gwen, and he finally asks her if she would like to go to the winter formal. And she tells him, yes, she would, but she's already told Flash she'll go with him. Peter says, oh. He just maybe thought they could study that night if she wasn't going, but he'll just see her tomorrow. Later, Peter sits alone on a building until it becomes night, and he hears a voice asking, has the girl already had a date? Peter puts his mask back on in a hurry and he says, no, yes. Iron Man tells him, I've been there, all the time, some of the time. Okay, once, but I know it will make you feel better. I just got an alert that Fang Fang something is trying to eat Brooklyn. You want to go punch a dragon? And that was, I guess, a retcon as to how Iron Man met Spider-Man. And I personally thought that this was a nice little story. If you guys are enjoying Spidey, make sure to click the link down below to go pick up the next issues yourself. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian. I'll see you guys next time right here.